We all know the problem with Necromancer style classes in D&D. They grind the game to a halt rolling for their multiple summons, and keeping track of all their skeletons is nothing short of a headache. So I wanted to fix that. I wanted the Necromancer class that felt powerful without turning everything into a logistical nightmare. A class that gives you a traditional Necromancer feel without frustrating everyone at the table. And that's why I created the Lichbourne. The Lichbourne is a half-caster companion class, with a bunch of different ways you can augment your undead ally to fit whatever flavor of necromancy you want. You're not just stuck with a generic minion, you can empower them through Eidolic Brands, giving them abilities like empowered attacks, life-draining strikes, or a terrifying aura of dread. And if a single companion is too basic for you, the subclass options allow you to adjust the playstyle to fit whatever flavor necromancer you're looking for. You can reshape your Eidolon into a monstrous abomination, command a spectral horde of undead, or simply absorb its power into yourself and become an undead force of destruction. And if that sounds interesting to you, let's dive into the mechanics of the Lichbourne. But actually, before we dive in, just a quick note here, I'm not going to go into every single class feature. Instead, I'll be talking about the core mechanics that make the Lichbourne unique. If you want more in-depth detail, stick around as I'll be sharing how to get access to a playtest version of this class, and how you can give feedback so you can possibly shape the future of it. But with that out of the way, let's jump into what makes the Lichbourne tick. At the heart of the Lichbourne, there are three mechanics that make it tick: Veil Dice, their Soulbound Eidolon, and their Eidolic Brands. These systems work together to make a smooth combat experience without the usual Necromancer headaches. Instead of traditional spell slots, Lichbourne use something called Veil Dice, a pool of energy that fuels both your spellcasting and your special class abilities. They have similarities to both Warlock spellcasting and Fighter Superiority dice, but are unique in a few different ways. Firstly, they're used for spells. Simple enough, you can expend a number of Veil Die equal to the level of spell you want to cast. A level 1 spell costs 1 Veil Dice, a level 2 spell costs 2 Veil Dice, and so on and so forth. And secondly, they empower your different class abilities. Many of your class features, including your Eidolon's powers, all allow you to roll Veil Dice to add additional effects like bonus damage, healing, or even teleportation. And while the Lichbourne is a half-caster, you still get access to cantrips, giving it a reliable magical option that does not cost Veil Dice. This means you always have a source of consistent spellcasting, even if you want to save your Veil Dice for bigger abilities. Unlike full casters, you won't have many high-level spells, but between your cantrips, your martial proficiencies, and your Eidolon's abilities, you will always have something impactful to do on your turn. But now let's talk about the Eidolon. In many ways, your Soulbound Eidolon functions similarly to a Beastmaster Ranger's companion, but it has a couple of key differences. It takes its turn after you in combat, and you can use your bonus action to command it to do something, and if you don't, then it just defaults to the dodge action. It also scales with your level and has several different mechanics that tie directly into the Lichbourne's resource system. Mainly, it allows you to regenerate Veil Dice. Once per turn, whenever a creature is reduced to 0 HP within 30 feet of you or your Eidolon, you regain 1 expended Veil Dice. But alongside that, you can augment your Eidolon with different abilities directly fueled by your Veil Dice. These empowerments generally come in the form of Eidolic Brands, allowing you to augment your companion's abilities while further expanding upon how it functions in combat. And with that mentioned, let's talk about the last piece of the puzzle, the Eidolic Brands. These are simply magical sigils that enhance your Soulbound Eidolon's abilities. The brands function as a core customization system, allowing you to shape your companion to fit whatever playstyle you desire. The core class has 4 total brands: Brand of Might, Brand of Dread, Brand of Shadows, and Brand of Hunger. Brand of Might passively increases your Eidolon's damage output. Simple enough, but you can also expend a Veil Die to deal additional damage on a hit. The Brand of Dread surrounds your Eidolon with a spectral aura that slows enemies and has the option to frighten creatures at the cost of a Veil Dice. The Brand of Shadows grants your Eidolon the ability to teleport short distances with expending a Veil Dice. And the Brand of Hunger allows your Eidolon to siphon life from your enemies at the cost of a Veil Die, gaining temporary hit points when it deals damage. These brands provide mechanical choices for how you want to build your Eidolon, but don't worry because you can always inscribe new brands after a long rest. Additionally, at higher levels, the brands get more powerful. There are features like Awakened Brands or Ascendant Brands that allows you to expend additional Veil Dice for stronger effects, or just enhance the passive nature of each brand. But these brands are a single way to customize your Eidolon. we can take this even further with the subclasses, also known as Vestiges. Each Vestige offers a distinct playstyle, giving new mechanics and abilities that build upon the core class features. Some Vestiges augment the Eidolon, mutating it into a stronger and more terrifying entity, while others discard it entirely, channeling the power of undeath into the Lichbourne's own form. There are 3 different Vestiges you can choose from: Vestige of the Bonewright, Vestige of the Ebon Crusader, and Vestige of the Crypt Keeper. The Bonewright specializes in modifying and enhancing your Eidolon, reshaping it into a grotesque abomination through something called grafting. Instead of summoning new creatures, you alter your existing Eidolon, making it a more powerful and adaptable creature. When you choose this subclass, you get access to a feature called corpse grafting. This allows you to apply special modifications to your Eidolon, with modifications like disjointed limbs, ossiferous spines, or a cursorial frame, granting your Eidolon different and unique abilities tied to each feature. At level 7, you gain the Adaptive Abomination feature, which further enables your corpse grafting ability with additional effects, and then at level 15, you get the Fleshborn Colossus. But if that's not so much your vibe, the Ebon Crusader takes a different approach to it. Instead of empowering your undead companion, you channel the power of your Eidolic Brands into your own form. This subclass removes the Eidolon entirely and replaces it with personal enhancements, making you a necrotic warrior of destruction. At level 3, you gain heavy armor proficiency and Soulbound Brands. Instead of applying Eidolic Brands to your Eidolon, you can now apply them to yourself, enhancing your own abilities. As you level up, the Ebon Crusader gets access to unique brands specific to this subclass. There's more to it than that, but if we want to get back to the traditional Necromancer style of play, let's talk about the Crypt Keeper. I couldn't call this a Necromancer class without maintaining that feeling of commanding legions of undead, which is exactly why we have the Crypt Keeper subclass. Instead of replacing your Eidolon, this enhances it, making it feel more like a true necromantic horde while still operating technically as a single combat unit. At level 3, you gain Crypt Keeper's Swarm, where you surround your Eidolon with a spectral horde, visually representing your undead forces, granting it a couple of unique features. These are features like Grasping Hand, which grapple enemies, or Swarm Strike, which grant advantage on attacks as your enemies are overwhelmed by a swarm of souls. But that is just a quick overview of the Lichbourne. There is a lot more to it, but I don't want to talk too much about it in the video. I'd rather hear directly from you. If you want to test out the Lichbourne and see all of its features, I have linked a playtest document in the description below for you to check out. I'll also include a link for feedback down there, so if you do get a chance to playtest it, please let me know your thoughts. But if you don't want to playtest it, that's also fine, but I'd still love to hear your thoughts on the class overall. Do you like the idea, or was I way off the mark? Let me know below. And hey, if you're looking for more ways to enjoy the game, maybe hit the like button and subscribe for more epic spell breakdowns, combos, or maybe some custom classes or 2 that might be coming out in the future. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.